Hey, ladies and gentlemen, it's Weston Martinez. Hope you're doing good. Y'all are okay, guys. You don't have to be that quiet. All right, so we are coming to you live tonight with a lot of things that are happening here in the great state of Texas, also known as Siberia. Hey, guys, glad y'all are tuning in. Go ahead and share this video. We'll let people come on here in just a minute, and we will bring other people on. If you want to put on comments about where you're dialing in from and what you've got going on, we're going to talk about a bunch of different things that are happening. One of the most mysterious things that's taken place is that all of the people, hey Scott, is all of the people who are listed on the ERCOT management are now no longer there. Now, I posted a list of all these individuals' names early this morning, and they've taken it off. So we're going to talk about several different things tonight. Lots happening, but we're going to talk about Biden, ERCOT, PUC, what took place with that. Of course, we're going to talk about Rush Limbaugh. And you guys, I know we've got people from all over the place coming in, so I'll just give people a second. If you want to share this video, make a comment, that'd be great. And if you're out of power, if you're one of the folks that is having a problem with your power, let us know where you're at. Let us know what you need, and we'll try to send people your direction so that we can go in there and get more folks to help you out. I had somebody from Midland call us today, message us actually, and they had someone here in Bexar County in San Antonio that had a problem, and we were able to get them some firewood. They basically didn't have anything in their house. Lived in a very nice house, very nice part of town. Didn't have anybody they could reach out to, apparently, and they were just stuck home with their dogs. And we just did what was the right thing to do, I guess, simply, and we'll try to that was basically go in there and send people your direction, chill out, so that we can go in there and get more with their dogs. And how do I escape that? I'm listening to myself in stereo. It's pretty funny. The right thing to do. I kill that. All right, and so we had somebody. Noel, good to see you. Carolyn, good to see you. But we went in there and we had helped them get some firewood, get them taken care of. They'd called the fire department where they lived at, and they came over and showed her how to use the fireplace and left. So not too good. But so I know we got people jumping in all over the place. If you want to say where you're from and what your status is, feel free to do that. We're just talking about your electrical status. We're not talking about your relationship status. So y'all have fun with that. But let's start off right at the top. So ERCOT and Joe Biden issued his executive orders that actually went in there and put us back under the Paris Climate Accord. Now, let me just tell you that the problem that we're facing today in Texas with the energy situation is not something that is simple. It's a complex situation. There's multi-levels of government, multi-levels of regulatory agencies that are in place. Some of those, San Siberia, Carlos, San Siberia. We're in Siberia, Texas. We know some people in Seguin call Seguin Saigon, but it's still Seguin to us. So when we look at what's happening, it's a multi-layer issue. One, ERCOT, which is now famous. Nobody knew about it unless you're involved in the power industry like me and you've had need to know about it. But ERCOT reports to the Public Utilities Commission. ERCOT is made up of members from all different parts of in this case, 30% of the members actually are from outside of Texas. I'm sure we're going to fix that. But not only is that the case, but they report to the Public Utilities Commissioners. And those three commissioners are appointed by the governor, and their terms, their terms are usually 6 years, but they have the ability, they basically set the market. And so what you have taking place here is you have the overall market, you have the overall electrical usage, and you have this capacity. Let's just say it's 100% capacity. I've got some oranges here, so let's use this as a unplanned stage prop. So let's say this orange represents the market, and people are using so much that there's nothing more available. So since there's nothing more available, then what they say is, hey, to get people to quit biting at the electricity, we're going to raise the price. 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 It's called a scarcity market, scarcity pricing. Demand and supply meet. As that goes up, the price goes up. So right now, by the ruling of the Public Utilities Commission, they can charge up to $9,000 per hour. And you'll see that in different places. I will tell you that if SAWS does lose electricity, I was actually talking to SAWS a few years ago about bringing in a power agreement to SAWS to get them off of CPS Energy. So that way they could have a redundant backup system in the event there was some sort of catastrophic, unplanned, nobody knew about it kind of failure. And, here we are. But the ways to fix this short term are to turn on the generators, tell the Biden/Obama second term, third term folks that, we're not going to let you dictate to us what our power generation capacity can be, because there is a chunk that we're offline because of the rules passed. The PUC, the ERCOT did actually ask the Energy Secretary, Biden's Energy Secretary, to go in there and make a emergency declaration approving the usage of all of the generators that are offline, and they did that. And so just to kind of catch you guys up real quick, we're kind of explaining the market of electricity in Texas, how that impacts everyday Texans. We talked about just the pricing mechanism and how the price, as demand goes up, the price goes up, 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 up. And some of these electric companies, they basically play the futures market. And they play the futures market. So that's why when they do that, right, they're buying energy in futures, kind of like an option in the stock market. And there were some companies in Houston that lost, I want to say they lost over $150 million in a couple of days by playing the scarcity market. In the summer, they had a light brownout, and it basically caused their prices to spike. One of the examples I gave a minute ago is, let's say this orange is the market, and to get you to quit biting the orange, they raise the price. Another example is, if I pinch you hard enough, you'll let go. So that's the other thing they wanted to do, is try to get you to stop using it. So they keep slapping you with pricing. And Carlos, I don't understand your question. Rewrite it, and I'll be glad to talk about it. But so in this case, Department of Energy issued an order number 202-21-1, and it says, I'll read part of it. ERCOT has been alerted that numerous generation units will be unable to operate at full capacity without violating federal air quality or other permit limitations. And ERCOT, I'll repeat that. ERCOT has been alerted that numerous generation units will be unable to operate at full capacity without violating federal air quality or other permit limitations. Folks, us being part of the Paris Climate Accord has nothing to do with anything except, can you check the alarm outside? Side delay. Is that our car going off? Here's somebody honking. I don't think it's a parade. Live TV, guys. Y'all have fun. But the capacity, China is not going to adhere to this standard. All these other third world countries that are part of this Paris Climate Accord are not going to adhere to these standards. So we need to be smart about what's going on, and we need to actually address this situation now. So as I explained a minute ago, we've got an appointed board and an appointed commissioners that that oversee this appointed board. Okay. So what are some of the solutions? Number one, the public utilities commissioners for the state of Texas should be elected positions. Either you make them statewide offices, or you go in there and you make 3 regions, or you add a 4th one and you make 4. But either way, those need to be appointed positions. They need to be elected positions. 2, the other thing that we need to do is we need to go in there and we need to force home rule cities to deregulate. City of San Antonio had an opportunity to deregulate. They were given a carve out by the legislature a couple of years ago. They chose not to take it, and they chose to keep their monopoly intact so that they could actually go in there and keep on doing what they're doing. Thirdly, we should require all board members of ERCOT and any of those boards to actually be residents of Texas. Apparently, on top of the fact that we found out that the current CEO makes $850,000 a year, that 30% of the board members don't even live in Texas. So I think we need to go in there and make sure that if we're going to put Texans first, that we need to have people making decisions that are actually in the state as well. So those are a couple of the big things that need to take place in order for us to get the regulatory, to get the relief that we need and have power generation take place properly. Another thing that we should do is in the Railroad Commission, they actually have a rule that limits production. So if you have an oil well, and it's a small oil well, and it doesn't produce X number of barrels per month, then the Railroad Commission would say that you need to come in and you need to shut down your oil well. So you need to pay money to shut down an oil well that's making money. So, hey, Gabe, good to see you. So in this case, right now we're talking about oil and gas production and how it relates to what we're doing. So in this case, we have all these stripper wells all across the state of Texas. And let's say they do 2 barrels a month. Okay, well, 2 barrels a month times, 2 million oil wells, it's a lot of oil. So the capacity is a big point that we need to be able to be more energy independent. We need to stop giving subsidies to wind and solar. We've given $16 billion in subsidies to wind and solar over the last legislative sessions. And, look, we're trying to do the right thing. And currently, that generation makes up 20 to 30% of the overall generation. And that is not, that is a small amount when we're talking about a state of Texas the size that we are. So we need to go in there and we actually need to increase the amount of, we need to rely more heavily on oil and gas and on natural gas and on those production points, not have more information and not have more reliability on wind and solar. In fact, I think we've done so much so far that until we have, if you want to talk about a commercially viable renewable energy, bring it on. That's a great thing. You'll find Republicans jumping on there. Doug, good to see you. I got people from all over tuning in. Didn't say hi to all you guys. We kind of jumped right into the data points here. Appreciate you guys a whole bunch. Gabe, I'll get right back to your comment here and your question just a second. Everybody, Gabe's question is, how's Biden at fault? And I'll tell you that there's a lot of people at fault, Gabe. It's not, I wish I could say this was just Joe Biden's fault. I can tell you whose fault it's not. It's not Donald Trump's fault. As much as people would like for it to be Trump's fault, it is not Trump's fault. There are people on both sides of the aisle who are at fault at this situation. And let me kind of unpack it broadly and quickly. So basically, through executive order by Joe Biden, they put us back into the Paris Climate Accord, which then put us in a position where we actually had generators that couldn't be brought online. And the reason why those generators couldn't be brought online is because they actually would cause our state to be out of attainment. So basically, we got too much emissions coming out of the state of Texas, under that ruling, to be in attainment. So that caused them to have generators offline. Short end of it. Now, I will tell you that we, as Texans, should have told them no, and we should not have done this. And Doug, you're right. Our Democrat friends on the other side of the aisle are great at not letting not letting a crisis go to waste. And in this situation, in this case, we're just trying to put people over politics and get people the electricity they need, and point out equally, who's at fault, what they've done wrong, and how we fix it. But Gabe, to get back to you, so this situation basically is, so they put Paris Climate Accord in place. They put that in there, put us in non-attainment. ERCOT actually, I'll give them some props. ERCOT actually requested a emergency action by the acting energy secretary to go in there and give them the ability to put those things back online. And to their credit, they approved it. The problem winds up being that even though it's approved, you had these generators online and they couldn't even be brought back online. I've had people reaching out to me from power stations that are telling me that their generators keep tripping. So they go to cycle on, boop, and they trip off. So it's a very, and so then, because that was the case, well, now we had assets that were not active. Well, assets not active on top of that. And then you had ERCOT officially asking power companies around the state of Texas, like CPS Energy, to produce less load. In other words, tighten your belt, use less power, and help us cover our shortfalls that we're having on our end. Now, again, ERCOT CEO, $850,000 a year is what we pay that guy. And Keith, I'll get your question here in just a minute. Shortly, I'll say that there is a state of disaster that's been declared by the governor. I do think it's pretty political that you have Joe Biden not doing that. I think that's because Joe Biden doesn't want to show that he's got a crisis on his hands. And for the liberals, I mean, let's face it, climate change is something that these guys live and die for. So I guess we could say that, well, now, Gabe, now come on now. He's been in office for less than a month, plus 8 years. But in fairness, so with what we have going on here, so yes, it's a lack of it. You have these rules. ERCOT was dealing under those rules. ERCOT was trying to, and they do have the ability to mandate to these other people to tell them to turn off their power generation, to cut the belt. But again, go back to what I talked about a minute ago, scarcity pricing. Scarcity pricing says, here's the total amount of electricity that's available. And if you, so here's what they can produce. And as you bite it, as you consume it, in order to stop you from consuming it, they raise the price. So now it's less. And right now, with the Public Utilities Commission, they can actually go up to $9,000 per hour. So you're going to have some people, and if you go back to my Twitter and Facebook page, I'll put some of these documents up there. But you're going to have some people that are going to have some very, very, very large electric bills coming out of this thing. I will tell you that CPS Energy, they really finagle their numbers, and they take what they call their blended rate, and it's a big difference. You pay a lot more on their pricing than what you basically have to add some things together to get to your total number of what you're really paying. But to go back to the complexity of the issue, Gabe, Yes, Biden's only been in office a month, but you know what? If you want to compare apples to apples, we went right into Trump being elected. We had situations going on, and even though Trump was just in office, it was all his fault. So you know what? Republican, Democrat, you're in the big chair. You're in the big chair. But go in there, to go in there and say what's really going on here, you have the power generators, and then you have basically you have the wholesalers, you have the grid that manages in between, and then you have the commercial delivery. So in our case, CPS Energy generates power and it commercially sells power. Not everybody's like that. Most people, they're just on one side of the equation. And then you've got transmission lines in between. Corpus Christi's been out of power. Corpus Christi is directly fed by the power plant located in Christine, Texas, and they've been having some issues down there with their electricity and with their power. And this really overall highlights the point that a lot of us has made for a long time, and that is that you should not depend on the government to provide your solutions. You should be prepared in the event of an emergency, in the event of catastrophe, how to take care of you, your family, your neighbors, and how you can go in there and work through it. I will tell you that the scarcity market, the way it works, so you've got all those people taking place, and if you go back and look, with just a couple of years ago, and what happened with the scarcity market, it really can take a hurt to what's happening to you in Texas. But you've got some people that have gone in there and they've paid lots of money, hundreds of millions of dollars in just a couple of days, because they're rolling the dice on futures market related to what's happening. So that's kind of what's happening in general with everything going there. I tell you that the ERCOT CEO, he gets a great salary of $850,000 a year. Not opposed to people getting paid money. Certainly, we need to make sure that we're not leaving people stranded. I mean, I've had people reach out to me from different parts of the state, and they've had no electricity. They've had no electricity for 3 or 4 days, and they're in major cities. I mean, if we look at these other places, smaller towns that are in Texas, they also are having problems. So, we really have to look at what's going on here. So I'll read. This is exactly what Magnus, the CEO of ERCOT. Here's a quote from him. Well, we asked the local utilities to reduce the amount of power they use in order to keep the overall system in Texas operating safely. So each utility, like San Antonio CPS Energy, Austin Energy, has a proportion of the reduction in the use of power we need to maintain the safety balance. So we're telling each of the utilities, okay, so they're telling us, this is Magnus telling the utility companies. So we're telling each of the utilities in Austin and everywhere else that as soon as we can reinstate certain amounts of megawatts, certain amounts of usage, then they can go out and take care of that within their communities. Hold on. So let me just break this down for you. So we are telling each of the utilities when they can reinstate certain amount of megawatts. So basically, we've got about 20,000 megawatts of power that are currently offline, and they're not allowed to be there. Matt, if you guys need to come to our house, come on over. We'll be glad to let you in. We've had some other people already spend the night at our house because they had no lights, no water for 3 or 4 days. So if you and you know what, Gabe, and your neighborhood, none of these neighborhoods should be down. But whenever these liberals talk about equity lens distribution, this is what it looks like, guys. This is what socialism looks like. Rationing of water, rationing of electricity, boil notices. This is exactly what socialism looks like. And we have to look at what's happening here in these United States so that we don't have that repeat with us at all whatsoever. So here's what Magnus tells these people. Watch this. We can reinstate certain amounts of megawatts, certain amount of usage, and then go out and take care of within their communities. Quote, we just tell them the amount we need, and that's it. So here's what it boils down to. You've got a appointed group of people. Now, again, I was a statewide commissioner. I served statewide for the state of Texas for almost 7 years, and it was a big agency. And I was chairman of the budget committee and did a bunch of other things. And, we really helped move that agency forward. And we worked as a team, and there was a lot of people from different places. So it was very good. But, never would I go in there and say, I'm telling these people what to do. Because you have to realize as a commissioner, I know this guy's not a commissioner. He's a paid employee. But as a statewide elected official, you have to remember that it's not the government's people. It's the people's government. And there's a lot of people that have answers to come from. I'll tell you, I have a list. If you go to my Facebook page, I have a list of all of the board members and all of the chairs. And ERCOT has taken down that list. So, Gabe, stay safe, man. You need something, let me know. God bless you. Their whole list of board members has been taken down from their website. Now, you need to share this video and invite your friends to watch this. I'll put this up on my page and on my YouTube channel, but there's a lot taking place here. Why would they take down their names? I mean, really? These people that are on these boards and commissions, they have to file public financial statements and all kinds of things. So it's really interesting that they need to know what's going on. And I'll tell you, the number that I found out is that ERCOT told power generators to reduce their production from 65,000 megawatts down to 45,000 megawatts. So it's a big deal. And it's not going to be again, it's not a one silver bullet solution. There's lots of things going on. We've got people dying across the state of Texas. If you go to my page, I've got pictures of people outside of grocery stores standing in line. And so, here we are, people freezing to death, no electricity in their house. So we send them. So now they open the grocery stores, and now they're forced to wait outside in line to get their stuff. So it's just a crazy thing. Before we wrap up today, somebody was commenting they liked my picture of the pipeline and the frozen windmill. I put big oil saves the day. So you can check that out. By the way, ERCOT, they're using a little phrase. Some of you might get a kick out of this. Some of you might laugh. Some of you might get upset. I got mad. And they're saying flatten the curve. It worked with COVID, apparently. Not. So, but today we want to just take the last remainder of our time here for just a minute. I want to talk about Rush Limbaugh. Rush Limbaugh has really made such an impact on revolutionizing communication as a whole. And, he really has gone in there and has been a trailblazer. I know some of the folks that worked with Rush Limbaugh in the very beginning up in Kansas City. And we had some great conversations about some similarities. That was kind of interesting for me. But Rush did a great job at unpacking technical details in a simple and somewhat fun way. Derek, you're welcome. Again, go back and listen to the earlier part of the video. We talked about ERCOT, CPS, what's going on. I am seeing that the weather is showing that it's gonna get bad for the next couple of days, you guys. And so like schools in San Antonio are closed till Friday, so they'll close the rest of the week. They are expecting tomorrow afternoon snow to kick back in again, so you'll have a little bit of a thing. But back on Rush for a minute, Rush was a warrior. He wasn't afraid about going out there and calling people to task, whether they were Republicans or Democrats. And I think that is something that is unfortunately very scarce in today's environment. You've got a lot of people that they just want to be liked. And, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be liked. There's nothing wrong with with being a people pleaser. But don't get into the public arena and think that you're going to make some difference by just being a go along, get along person. I when I first got involved in politics a long time ago, I used to think about, you just kind of think, oh man, it'd be nice to have this person as a friend, and it'd be nice to have this person as a friend, and then you realize actually it's better to have certain enemies. So I will tell you that I know that we know Rush Limbaugh is in heaven. We know he had his heart right with the Lord. It's sad that he died of lung cancer at the age of 70, which is longer than my dad lived, but certainly not a average life in today's medical environment. And there are going to be people that nobody's going to fill those shoes, but we need to be supportive of those people that just might be the next Rush Limbaugh. I think that's a very important thing, because we have to, again, we have to stand together, or we're going to hang together. We know one of our founding fathers is one of the comments that he made. So be supportive of these different people. Let people know what's going on. And, related to what's happening with, one last thing I'll tell you is that with voter fraud, if you have not yet joined the Voter Fraud Bureau of Investigation, go find that page. It's a Facebook page. There's a website URL that's out there. The website is almost up. Tips at voterfbi.com are available. We are getting tips from different parts of the state and other parts of the country, and we're working on getting those chased down. But we just wanted to, again, let you know what to expect with the electricity, kind of explain what's going on, explain some of the proactive thoughts that we have on this issue. And again, from being involved in the energy industry, I've been being involved politically. My name's been circulated for PUC commissioner in the past, but I haven't been away from the industry long enough time for an appointment like that to kick in. But I already had a statewide Tier 1 appointment, which was fantastic, training ground for me, and a great opportunity to serve the country of Texas. And that's for you, Daniel Miller. But again, follow me on YouTube, follow me on Facebook. We're going to give some weather updates. We'll give some more updates on ERCOT. This is a very, very, very big deal. I have said publicly that ERCOT is going to be the next Enron. As ridiculous as that might sound to you, that's what's going to happen. I think we're going to find a lot of things that industry folks have been complaining about for years is going to come to light. I think we're going to see that the overall minutia of the governance is going to be something that people are not. They're not happy with. They're not happy with it. They're not going to accept it as, hey, this is normal. This makes sense. And those people are going to go in there and they're going to be like, oh my God, this is what we've been doing. And a friend of mine pointed out that if you pull up the Texas grid, the Texas map, you'll see that El Paso and Sabine, Texas, and I forget the part in North Texas, but those parts are part of the other grids and not part of the ERCOT grid. Tony, good to see you. Be careful out there. I know you've been doing a lot of different things, but this is where we have to put people over politics. I will give you an update on one of our next videos related to the Alamo and the cenotaph. There's been some little bit of noise happening there, and on voter fraud. So lots of good things coming up. Believe me, stay tuned to my program. I try to give you a lot of technical details. If you got questions, hey man, Jeffrey, how you doing, buddy? Sonny Harris lost a bull last night. So, and again, there's lots of animals that are dying, lots of folks that are having trouble. So we're going to sign off now. We've taken a little bit longer than what we normally do for those of y'all that just tuned in maybe for the first time. But thank y'all for coming. Remember, every time you drive by Buc-ee's, remember Weston Martinez works for you, and I'm fighting voter fraud for you, and a lot of different legislative things that are taking place. So, all right, y'all have a good one. We'll catch up with you later. God bless you. God bless Texas, and God bless the United States of America. Thanks.